Hello, viewers. I'm SB, and welcome back to Mask of the Rose, where I'm floundering a little bit here. I really do not feel like we have... I feel like what we've done is we've ruled out almost everybody. We are back to... I personally am back to thinking that, like, what we have on Milton is the most meaningful. And I think that if we're going to talk about Milton, what we have to do is figure out the meaning of the thing that someone saw in that mirror. Hold on, I don't even remember who it was. Was it Phoebe or Rachel that we were talking to, where they said they saw Milton do something and then there was like a wax David in the mirror? Do we remember this? Has a range of temporary companions. That's certainly a way to put that. No, I don't think we're going to be able to get that information from here. This thing does not do the thing I need it to do right now. Okay. Yeah, I think what I want to do now, without necessarily saying that I think Milton is responsible or that I think they've come back around on any of this. Like, we just need to know more about what it is that Milton did to David. That's the only kind of lead that we have at all, I think, at this point. Especially since the story building function is constructed not to allow us to pursue the very obvious stories that might involve the Carringhams. Which, you know, tells us that they cannot be correct. So I guess let's just go harass Milton for a while. I don't really know what else to do. I'm going to go interrogate Milton about David's enemies. What I want to do is ask Milton about this story that we heard about Milton. But again, we're just not allowed to do the really obvious thing. This game is it's so rigid with its verbs, and it's weird because it's also quite expansive. Like, there are a lot of things you can do, and often you have the option of doing things that are pretty surprising. Like, oh, I we've had multiple occasions where I was shocked that the game allowed me to do something, that it foresaw something, but it's just the damn... And I guess this is the way of any video game, right? The way of a game adjudicated by a computer is that it can only run in the most rigid ways possible, and any flexibility that you're seeing is illusory. Effectively, it is composed out of a lot of different kinds of rigidity all stacked on top of each other. That's just computers. But it is a huge bummer that this is being adjudicated by a computer and not a person. I would love to play in the tabletop role-playing game of this case and this time period, this particular adventure. But sadly, we are here instead, having to try to convince a computer to let us ask the obvious questions that we should be able to ask. So if we're gonna go talk to Milton, we should definitely show up looking fancy. Which kind of fancy? I think I'm gonna go to them with the spear first fork and my respectable but not elaborate garments. I think this look has done good work for us so far with a number of people. All right, most likely no one will expect me to exchange news of the day. Yeah, this will work. Maybe, probably. I hope so. Hello. To what do I owe the pleasure? Yeah, I have like a lot of questions actually. Do you mind if I ask you a few? There's some things I don't understand. Just a couple. Yes. Clearing up human misunderstandings is one of my favorite pastimes. It is possible, of course, that you will get some answers you do not want. But that will just make the conversation more delicious. Okay. I'm gonna start with the general question, with the sort of neutral question. Did David Landau have any enemies you're aware of? If you ask him, perhaps he will name me. It was not a reciprocal relationship, however. I cannot bring myself to regard as an enemy someone so trivially overcome. He discouraged me from seeing Rachel, but that was easily set right. Yeah, I have questions about that, actually. I'm going to ask a critical question in a reassuring way. You know, we're wearing the fork. I'm trying to present myself as being as much on his side as possible. He's going to see through that kind of manipulation, probably. The answer to this question doesn't change anything. Not by itself, anyway. Could you have dosed David? Was there a moment you could have intervened? I visited the house. I did not attend David Landau's sickbed. Instead, I had a brief conversation with Rachel Landau and went away again. I did not put poison in Archie's medicine. Tell me something. What is your most compelling desire? At the moment, to free Archie from prison. So I guess that's power. Do I want truth? I don't want truth as badly as I want to free Archie. Power. Also, I think that is an answer that he will probably be responsive to. A good and well-attested choice. Better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven, etc. Especially if that heaven chances to be the Blue Kingdom. But you must know there are gradations where power is concerned. How much do you need, and to what end? Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, to reform and cure injustice, again, I'm trying to walk the fine line with this character of not particularly caring whether or not Archie is guilty, but just protecting him as a member of the household. And I guess to grant health and security wherever I wished is the real answer, right? It's not about shattering, and it's not about overreach, but I want to have the ability. Yeah, I think this is the right answer for Winnie. I want to be able to keep people safe. Anyone I wished. Health, security, food, and clothes. A few little luxuries as well, I suppose. Why not? It will all have to come from somewhere. You'd best not tell the masters about your intent. They don't care for charity. It stops people paying for things. I guess we're reaching the end of the utility part of this conversation. If you've seen other cities, what do you think of ours? You will not like this answer. I have been wishing for some time that the masters had stolen St. Petersburg. Not that I would wish to miss out on your delightful company, but at first I was delighted with London novels. And here are people who know how to write every detail, every minute element of a soul's formation. But that was much of what drew me to Rachel at first. I'm not necessarily going to jump in front of this. Let's just listen to what he's saying. She writes as London writes, more or less, with a few specific gifts of her own, to be sure. But the scope, the focus upon manner, the writing of interior thoughts, she didn't invent those. And in those qualities, she, all of London, falls short of what the Russians have achieved. I do not see a reason to mock Milton. So this is being given to us because we have the Spirifer's fork, huh? I'm gonna make a great show of sympathy here. Oh no. Oh dear, that's much too bad. If he picks up that we're mocking him, good for him. Very much too bad. Have you encountered the novel Oblomov? It concerns a man too ravaged by ennui to leave his bed. He is a burden to his family and an embarrassment to himself. It is the most pure, intense, and exacting portrayal of a lightless soul that anyone could devise. What technique! What we might not have achieved with them! I look forward to your next visit, mademoiselle. Your transparency makes an interesting diversion. Okay. I have only platonic intentions toward Milton. I don't necessarily want to be friends. My face betrays my feelings. Okay, so we didn't even recall the past this morning. I was so torn up in my what do you call it? So caught up in my story building. I reached for another memory out of the old grab bag. We don't have much left. What morbid thing are you reading now? It's the Illustrated London News. That's worse. What have they got this time? Engravings of the latest executions. The crowd gathered to see the deaths. Well, this does make me think they behead and quarter people for treason, though not very often, so at least Archie isn't accused of that. No, it's the Queen with Prince Albert and the children, and a Christmas tree. Oh, they're sending that around again, are they? Then, and this I recall, she took the picture and put it up in the frame of a mirror for decoration. Huh, that's weird. We have a lot of strange memories. Okay, it is weird that when we got the story about Milton doing magic on David, we were not allowed to add that to our list of verbs here. Because, I should be allowed to ask about that directly, don't you think? Am I allowed to go visit the devils again? Yes, but not Milton. I haven't taken time for my own personal relationships at all lately, and that is maybe, I'm sure we're missing stuff. This game definitely seems like it would stand up to a lot of sort of poking and prodding of its systems. Phoebe's not here. Well, if we can't do any of the most critical things, I wonder if maybe this is a time to work on the Barkogen problem. Ivy's perspective on possible murder methods is also interesting. I wonder if we'd be able to talk to her about the mirror thing. I'm so nervous about running out of time on this, but we also have this other... You know what? Let's try to get these two back together. Wait, hold on. Did I click on the wrong thing? Ivy's familiar with me by now? I meant to click to work on the Barkogen problem. Yeah, look into reuniting Barkogen and Botachikon. Nope, that's just the message we get. Okay, well, I'm pretty satisfied with this, but let's take off the spear for Fork. Let us represent ourselves as an agent of rubbery kind. Alright, let's do the thing. Ivy greets me warmly. I cannot resist fungally daring fashion. Yeah. I'm just gonna get straight to the point here. This is more than a social call, as are they all. I hear the sound of cursing emerging from somewhere in the stall. I do not have to look far to locate the source. I don't want a critique from the sidelines, my love, but crinoline should never be handled like that. Ugh. Why do you Londoners insist on such flimsy materials? You cannot say it is for the weather. Even in Karakoram, we knew of your island that the sun had never lain eyes upon. Well, we're all down here now, ain't we? And you're in my employ, so I suggest you learn your crinoline from your plimsolls. Only if I can use your parasol to skewer another customer who talks back. Oh, it's you. I imagine she's not that happy to see us, right? I'm gonna ask, is she gonna find this patronizing? I don't know. She seems to not love me sort of generally. Probably anything I say she's gonna find patronizing. How are you keeping? Oh, excessively well. Here I am, pairing disagreeable hats with disagreeable customers. Furnishing Ivy here with my knowledge of linens, lacquer, silks, and sharp implements. I told her 1,000 times. All I need's a sharp tongue and a sharper eye. Yeah, also, Ivy is like the one person here who I would trust. Already knows way more about this stuff than Barkachin's going to be able to teach her. Ladies these days could kill with a word. Or I suppose a hat pin, push really come to shove. Well, she was an ingrate deserving being coated in honey and roasted over a slow flame. She's also been filling me in on some of what they got up to in the last city. Roses and silken webs and copper fires in the dark. Given me a few notions for sure. I'm glad my previous career can have benefits still. Anyway, as you can see, I am exceedingly busy. I have no time to discuss the past. And any foolish associations I may have entertained for far too long. No, I mean, come on. This is interesting. I can agree with her. I wonder if this is one of those situations where I could, like, push her back in the direction of reuniting with the rubbery man by just agreeing with her current position and thus causing her to find it repugnant because it's now my position. I'm gonna not like double bluff around and end up sort of scoring an own goal here. Let's just be direct. I wish you'd reconcile. And I wish I were the wife of Prester Dawn. If Patachi-Khan wished to reconcile, he can squelch his way here himself. No, I haven't the faintest interest in how he fares, and am certain it will all end in disaster without me. So be sure to tell him no such thing. Now, do excuse me. Actual work to be done. Okay, maybe I need to work on my relationship with her a little bit before we can convince her on this. There was a mother who came to me to confess about the death of her baby. Okay, I can listen to this. What are we talking about? Go on. Well, the deed was done, and peckish work it was. But there's still not a belly timber in the house. Okay, well, I mean, she wants to confess. I like this is something that a human, the player, not the character, may actually find very unpleasant to hear, and so they give you a lot of off ramps. That's nice. It's all right. Put it out. So, I asked her what she did with the body. Got a nice casket for it or the like. How she said it was, I already learned, or how she said it was, I already learned to roast a cat. Wow. And yet I can see in her eye that it somehow gets worse. Okay, I mean, listen, y'all know that you could just jump ahead a couple of minutes if you need to jump ahead. And then David Landau returned from the boat with all his teeth and hair. But a person making that return with the choice cuts of peck missed out. The spectacle isn't a gladsome sight to the mum's eye. Oh, right, because people don't stay dead down here. Well, be that how it may, Holomus alone was not enough for that woman. We had to take the memory out clean, which is a matter I'd not have known to do above. But the crone who runs the urchin gang in these parts, she knows things. She was here before London fell. And I say, down here, you take what advice you can. Yeah, no question. Fuck, that's really awful. That's really awful. Question my own views on isolationism and self-protection. This is a very sort of like high-level response to this. What I would really like to happen here is for Ivy to maybe acquaint me with the woman she's talking about. So which one of these do you think leads in that direction? Possibly I should give more credit to exploration and acceptance of new cultures. We're all strange creatures now. Yeah, I was wondering if it was maybe possible for you to get me some information. Let's compare notes on the fashion of the Neath. Ivy and I have served different clients, perhaps, but we speak the language of the same profession. We get to talking about the materials available in the Neath, about how colors look different when they're never exposed to sun, and about how it's harder to tell good workmanship from bad in the dark. We talk about warmth and the importance of fit, and the art of constructing a gown that can be refitted as the wearer changes in size. And there's a few ladies who are no more than sticks. The diet below hasn't agreed with them. Ah well, top of Rome for me. Yeah. You know, I'm in no hurry to change who we are now. I like being really close with Ivy because Ivy knows lots of things. Aside from her just being like an interesting character who I think is really like a kind of a cool person. You know, not to say that she's like a good person necessarily, but she sure is useful, huh? Ivy's like a member of my own family. All right, well, time for supper, and you know what we generally do. Not expecting much of substance and consequence to occur here at supper, but okay. Apparently nobody else even shows up. Everybody's busy. Well, we'll give Horatia a hand cleaning up and go to bed feeling perhaps not that much more knowledgeable. I want to talk to Milton some more. 7 days remain. Okay. I'm the first to the morning paper. Where's Grizz? I'm worried about Grizz. Headlines today read, Pigeons reintroduced in the yard of St. Fiacres. Huh. That's not going to be very interesting information for basically anyone. Okay, well, do we have any memories left in Recall the Past? Not really. Okay. Interesting. There are so many threads that I'm not pursuing. Like this, there's a lot here. There's a lot here if you want to pursue different things. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm really stuck on this one thing. But it's, you know, it is objectively quite important. The thing is, whatever Milton's spell did, it's not poison, right? I mean, I guess I don't know that. Maybe it's a magical poison. Milton grew jealous of David's family? Maybe. Milton, so like this motive is related to this action rather than being sort of like more general. We don't have an action to put here that makes any sense. Maybe David was planning to return to the surface and you wanted David not to inherit. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I just... So I'm not allowed to talk to Milton about anything if this is the way we have this set up. What kind of theory could I tell Milton I'm producing, or I'm pursuing that might get more information out of him? Maybe like Phoebe seemed to love David. And while I think that it doesn't make sense for her to be the poisoner, probably. Maybe we can work this to some degree. Phoebe most of all wished for David's love. David for Phoebe to fail in pursuit of Rachel. The motivator is probably different here. The motivator is probably like the Carringhams or something. The Carringhams regretted their relationship. The Carringhams for a clean slate after past relationships. Right. So, Phoebe... This makes more sense if it's Ivy. So maybe we put Ivy here. I'm just trying to like put together a story that we can talk to Milton about, you know? So the Carringhams planned to leave, or at least like the guy wanted to get Charlotte away, right? Planned to return to the surface. I don't know if that's actually what they were thinking, but at least it's like in the right neighborhood. And then Ivy made an honest mistake through no fault of her own. She resorted to poison. Yes, it's she sent the Landaus a letter infused with a deadly toxin. Wait, what? How does that make sense as David's the one who would have received this really doesn't, it does not draw a story from the boxes that you're filling in a way that makes any kind of goddamn sense at all. The Carringhams wanted to avoid blame, so they pretended not to know. They feigned ignorance about the whole affair. But she sent the Landaus a letter infused with deadly toxin. She carried it to them, right? It would have been. Like, this is not a thing that I think happened, but it is a plausible story. And I'm curious if we can use it as a pretext to get any more information out of Milton. Interrogate Milton about David's lovers is an option we have now. Maybe Milton knows something about the Carringhams that we could use. This doesn't seem like a bad avenue. Let's put on what we had on yesterday when we went to see him. I spend my mornings trying to free my friend from prison and my evenings trying to reunite a squid and his best friend. I am satisfied with this. Hello. To what do I owe the pleasure? Let's start with David's romantic connections before the Ivy stuff. Did David Landau have any lovers you were aware of? Several past lovers, none in the present tense. Before you suggest anything untoward, he is not to my taste. Tempting a man like that is dry work. And something tells me Milton prefers wet work, you know? He longs for certainty. Devils don't trade in that commodity. You were going to tell me about his love affairs, though? Well, there is the obvious matter of the Carringhams. Lord Carringham married David's former fiancée, Charlotte. There is the less obvious matter of Phoebe Riley, the housekeeper. Interesting. Rachel has remained more or less ignorant of that little matter. But she prefers not to direct her attention toward Phoebe in any circumstance. No, hold on, I want to build on that. This is so frustrating. Why can we only come in with the questions we prepared and we can't follow up on anything? Like, if you are such a bad investigator in this game. You met Ivy Fitzclarence at the Landau townhouse the day of David's death, didn't you? We weren't formally introduced. I saw her passing through. She had come to see Rachel's wardrobe. Do you think she could have killed David? Well, I did not have long to observe her, alas. But from the brief impression I took, I'd say she's more capable than most. She appeared to me to have a robust soul. But to your knowledge, did she have any reason to do so? To my knowledge, no. But if she did it, I expect she was most likely paid. Putting someone to death is a very personal service. And the Ivy Fitzclarence do not perform such kindnesses for free. Perhaps that Carringham couple, the husband, might have a romantic grudge against David. David's engagement and its aftermath is a tale of such tedious indecision and inaction that I have not committed its specifics to memory. It is easier to remember the fiction that Rachel built on the back of it. Okay. I think about Rachel Landau more than I would prefer. She comes to my salon, we have an entertaining argument. I ignore my other guests, or they form a ring to watch us. Rebecca Solomon sits in a corner, sketching us both. And then... No, I'm actually really interested. I'm going to just keep listening. I'm not jealous of anyone in this situation. Rachel always goes home for the evening at a respectable hour. Sometimes, for distraction, I bed one of the other guests. Occasionally, I take a soul. I've had a few that tempted me. There's a boy who sculpts, but that's aside. Whatever I might be thinking of, whatever I'm doing, Rachel remains a consideration. I could seduce her. I could take her soul from her. I could convince her to marry me, if I chose. And at times she has wanted to be persuaded into any of those things. I played at the edges. I allowed us both to think that maybe I would. I don't want to step in. Like, our character is interested in Rachel romantically, although somewhat less so. I think, like, there's been a, not perhaps a cooling of interest, but certainly like a stepping back just out of concern that Rachel might actually, I don't feel confident at all that she wasn't the murderer or involved in the murder, frankly. But that, I'm not going to let on to Milton unless we absolutely have to. But that is the case, that we have any interest in her at all. One knew she was interested, that she would admit as much to someone else. Well, that's a larger step. I'll make sense of it sooner or later. Or she will die, or return to the surface, or grow old and move to the tomb colonies. I will outlive her in any measure, no matter what I do. I had better contrive not to find that future so distasteful. Yeah, he's really struggling here. Our man seems to have taken something beyond infatuation. I'm gonna ask him about poetry. I bet he would appreciate that. So, what do infernal poets write? Well, we will drink from a spring of ever-flowing mead in a garden of roses brought from Caduceus. And the serpents will snare us with affection as falconers their birds. The serpents in the garden, that is? It's a translation, though not a very poetic one. It's hard to capture the sense of infernal poetry in English. The words take on different meanings depending on their positional relationships. Ah, well, it's pretty. Is it? Pretty with fangs. Do come again sometime, mademoiselle. Your transparency makes for an interesting diversion. Maybe Milton and I should be friends. Maybe I want to give him this impression at least. He seems to like us. Outcome lives in tomb colonies. Something tells me that's not going to be terribly useful. The action novelized the affair is potentially useful in representing the Carringhams either as culprit or motivator. But it is wild that we just got it now, because this is like the fifth person who has talked to us about the fact that Rachel wrote a fictionalization of the situation in the paper. The triggers for stuff in this game are kind of obtuse. And I really like a lot of what's going on here, the feel of it especially, which makes that stuff way more frustrating. All right, maybe I need to work on my relationship with Barkajin just a little bit. All right, let's change that fork. All right, I think this should be sufficient. I hope this should be sufficient. The bridge makes it look as though I'm doing some sort of official business, though who can say for what office? In any case. Happy Yuletide, mademoiselle. I hope you're well in these times. Be prickly and hide my attraction. Listen, the game will not allow for me not being attracted to Barkajin. It has decided. I hope you're well. I recount the least interesting events of the last few days, things that will not startle or alarm anyone. Barkajin is in no mood to offer any stories of their own. I've been thinking of you. Barkajin gives me a distrusting look. What kind of person are you, then? Well... I don't think she's going to be impressed by me saying I was rubbing elbows with the fine folk. I speak of my family's background, and the fine people we had the honor to dress. That is specifically what I did not click on. Here we go. I talk about the invention of new styles, and the challenge of finding the right ambassadors to wear them. Barkajin radiates incredulity. Barkajin may have hoped to hear something else. Well, fucking, what am I supposed to do about it? I prepare, a little awkwardly, to remove myself. I can see a customer. I intend to harangue him until he purchases something. You should go. Do not outstay your welcome. The proprietor might tolerate you. I am under no such obligation. Yeah, no, that's fair. My opinion is unchanged. I do not think that we are likely to become friends with Barkajin. That seems like a thing that just ain't happening. How is that going to affect my plans? We might have to just give up on the reuniting. Just take Patachi-kan to go see Mr. Pages without her. I don't love it, but okay. Yep, nothing spectacular at dinner. I haven't seen Grizz in a couple of days. Starting to get a little nervous about that. You know, we're only 40 minutes in. Let's do one more day here. I think we can do one more day this episode. Six days remain in the season of Yule. Okay, Grizz is there in the morning. Grizz leaves me the newspaper after she's read everything of political import. The headlines today read, Townhouse Fire. Wild-haired and introspective students rescued. Outbreak blamed on unauthorized hexagonal map. Masters warn against unlicensed cartography. Yeah, weird. Okay. So I want to know what Milton knows about Phoebe. Because he clearly knows something. Okay, yep, still no memories. Kind of figured that would be the case. But, you know, last season, we had a new one crop up after a certain thing happened, so. Alright, let's build a version of this story where Phoebe is responsible. Let's say Phoebe is probably Phoebe as culprit rather than Phoebe as motivator. Maybe she gets jealous. She loved David. So she... Maybe a lot of this other stuff doesn't actually change. Then Phoebe grew jealous of David's family. That's kind of interesting as well, right? The thing is, like, she wouldn't send the Landaus a letter infused with deadly toxin. She would just envenom a letter that was sent anyway. This stuff does not really take into account who you're saying the culprit is. But it's like we're representing the case that she's like so overcome with jealousy and anger that she does the like, if I can't have him, nobody can kind of thing. When she finds out about, I don't know, this is thin. It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to allow me to ask Milton about Phoebe. I can build my friendship with Milton. That's a little less pointed than I might like. Maybe it's a Rachel thing. Rachel was thoughtless and novelized the affair. Okay, Phoebe wished for David's love, Rachel for nothing very particular. I mean, Rachel wished for what she wanted. She wants position, right? Wealth is kind of the thing. I mean, she's not fighting with... Okay, so motive fought over Milton here is not taken as fought with Phoebe. It's taken as fought in general. So with David, that is to say. So fought over Milton. Then you... I don't know, bought rare ingredients. Because we're saying here we're giving Phoebe like active motive. It's a what do you call it? Like I said, it's a fit of jealousy. So None of our actions here make any sense for Rachel, though. And again, we're running into this, like, rigidity problem. Especially because, like, as with Novelize the Affair, like, we the player, can know things for a really long time before our character's allowed to start thinking that they are maybe part of the case in a way that's really frustrating. Phoebe brought rare ingredients for a supper meant to make the eater fall in love. Rachel broke her heart, claiming David had said cruel things about her. That's how we're I mean, this is at least a story that makes some kind of sense. She made an honest mistake, and she then mourned. Basically, like, the idea here is Phoebe was trying to kill Rachel with the envenomed post, but Rachel didn't even realize and just let it go to David's hands, and then she mourned. Or yeah, she handed David the letter. Rachel innocently put the fatal post in David's hand. That's a story. Does that story let me ask the kinds of questions I want to ask? Not really. Well, maybe we should just do this. If anybody's going to be able to help David figure out what's going on with his head, it feels like it would be Milton, right? Yeah. Let's go ahead and put on our visiting outfit. I don't know. This is thin, but I don't know how to get the game to let me talk to him about the things I want to talk to him about. Ah, mademoiselle, to what do I owe the pleasure? Is it possible to make people forget things here in the Neath? Ooh, his face got serious fast. It is possible. Those who have lived longer in the Neath have cultivated many shades of oblivion. But I cannot recommend it. How do you hope to grow a soul if the exquisite torments are flushed away? Huh. Okay, I guess we're like at that was, he's just not interested. He's like, yeah, we could do it, but I won't. Well then, you know, Milton loves a personal story. He loves to know what's going on in somebody's soul. There's a story I should tell you about my past. I tell him a great deal about where I came from, how I got to my current state, and all the particular moments that especially changed me. A detailed and glorious history, in fact. Now, why did you tell me all that? Don't misunderstand me. It was a good story and well told. But I like to know what sort of recompense is expected in these situations. He's not going to believe that. You know, I had no purpose in mind. You're just really easy to talk to. Then I will thank you, and engage not to put your confidence to too many disagreeable uses. But secrets are a currency here. You'll learn to probably, like, keep, right? You'll learn to keep yours carefully, if you're wise. Do visit our little consulate again sometime, mademoiselle. Your transparency makes an interesting diversion. My feelings are stronger than ever. I am trying to be Milton's friend, in the hopes that he will be able to use his powers to help me. Okay, and with that done, I think maybe we just bring Batachi-Khan to meet Mr. Pages, right? I don't know that this is going to happen. I don't think Barkjin likes me enough to make that work. Once again, let's just make the basic change. Patachi-kan burbles a greeting and wiggles his tentacles with nervous anticipation. All right. You ready to meet Mr. Pages? Patachi-kan makes a lonely warble. He is happy to go. He only hopes Barkujin does not appear to ruin everything, as is her wont. This is followed by a forlorn trumpeting noise. He has no doubt she would know what to say to Pages. He himself is not so sure. Well, fuck. I mean, I don't know that I have time to change her mind at this point. Especially not if we're continuing to focus on the Archie thing. You know what, man? You could do this. Come on. Mr. Pages is not known for an excess of patience. A brave little warble follows. Patachi-kan is as ready as he'll ever be. Oh, okay. A look of surprise. I am informated of a familiar visitation. I hope it will not be like that ghastly novel where the miser is inflicted with spirits, each more discrimonious than the last. Patachi-kan makes a shy warble. It conveys a sense of distant acquaintance, cautiously renewed. Ah, the intentacled ones. I had not thought to see you again. The past resurfaces in the most unexpectual ways. I hope the stitchments of past and present will not cause undue ruptitudes. I also I'm hoping that. Does he care about the plight of the rubbery man? Do I think Mr. Pages cares about the plight of the rubbery man? I think he's more likely to be interested in one specific person's story, right? That's how it has gotten down in the past. This is Patachi-kan. He does bring a proposal of his own. He makes a polite honk. He flaps his tentacles, as though nervous. I am most intrigued to learn what he wishes. No rubbery men brought us such a petition in the last city. They lurked in the shadows and made disagreeable warbling noises. They offered no trade, so we did not considerate them. Patachi-kan gestures wildly, and many orifices produce plangent warbles. The cacophony is loud, but the sense is clear. Patachi-kan requests not an introduction, but a license. The warbling continues. A magisterial cacophony. I only wish I could understand it. The desire takes shape in oozing syllables. Commerce. A license to trade. A shop of its own to trade from. The warbling ceases. Patachi-kan gives you an expectant look. You must interpolate for me. Yeah, of course, that's why I'm here. I'll do my best. Patachi-kan makes a worried warble. He makes a second hooting attempt, ending with a defiant Uthatharu. He is insistent that he requires a place of business from which to engage in the chief activity of London. That is, commerce. Pages looks at me, awaiting elucidation. No, I'm going to translate accurately. I'm on Patachi-kan's side here. He wishes to open a shop. The master's outlawed charity, you know. Despite the evident excitables around the proposalment, I can see many flaws, obstacles, and errors. Commerce grows slowly, the economy not yet stabilized. To allow competition into such a fragile econology could prove disastrous. Pardon me. It is with a full heart I must decline, but it seems prudent that a more managed rapprochement between Rubbery and Londoner must begin. And with you here already as an embassy, I believe the process may begin. I shall send clerks to bedevil you shortly. A capricious day to you all. Tachikon makes an anguished honk. There is a determination in his tone. But there is no blame. He makes a final, defiant Uthatharu. This is not the end. But there will be work regardless. The re-emergence of the rubbery men is not a small matter. He will return to the Warrens. He hopes to see me soon. For now, he is very tired. Well, I mean, we did something. Certainly wasn't the thing I was trying to do. I wonder if we had had Barkajin here, if that would have gone any different. It's hard for me to imagine Barkajin and Mr. Pages getting along, although I think a lot of that is just that it's hard for me to imagine Barkajin getting along with anyone. Okay, and we help Horatio clear the table, and straight to bed with us. 300 days since the fall. 5 days remain in the season of Yule. As usual, I resort to the morning papers. The headlines today read, Feline answering name of Pebbles accused of carrying prisoners' messages from the HMS Ungulate. What, are they going to try to prosecute the cat? Pebbles the cat? Hard to imagine that going very well. Alright, well, that's what we're going to call it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I am feeling somewhat frustrated. I know what line I want to pursue. Phoebe, I think, has maybe misrepresented to us exactly what's going on with her and David, or maybe, I don't know. It seemed to me like Milton's implication was that there had actually been something. And if that is true, then I need to know what, and also why I'm not getting the straight story about it from Phoebe. But we're going to have a very limited number of questions to pursue this with, so I don't know. I don't know what the best way to approach it is. When you come back next time, perhaps I will have a plan for this thing. And we're getting very close to the end of our time here, so I'd better. And we'll see you then.